Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode. I know it's been a minute, but Kennedy and I have both been super busy just traveling. She's out of town for work, me just traveling to go see family and stuff like that. So our schedules have just like not aligned in the past couple weeks, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to keep making episodes. And literally yesterday I was on the treadmill doing my cardio and I had my headphones in super loud. I got off the treadmill, didn't pause it or anything to put down a yoga mat for my dog to lay on the floor, and completely forgot I didn't pause the treadmill. So I go to step on the treadmill when it's going at level 4. So I literally just ate crap on the treadmill and I hurt my knee, but I'm fine. But it ripped a hole through my pants and I have like this like gross little scab on my leg right now. But I'm just glad it wasn't anything that serious. I stopped and I was like, am I okay? So luckily I'm fine. But that was funny. I literally sat on the floor for a few minutes just laughing because I was like, what the heck just happened? So, anyway, let's get into the episode. Today, I just wanted to talk about some things. I've had conversations with people just in the bodybuilding community, specifically other women that compete in bikini. And this is something I've struggled with and I've talked about a little bit on another episode. But I wanted to do a full episode about it just because I think it's something that it's not talked about that much in the bodybuilding realm. It is, but I feel like some women just don't realize how common it actually is. And what that is binge eating and just overeating, which binge eating is a little bit more than just overeating. You're just, keep force feeding yourself past being full and you just like, you can't stop. It's like you feel like a zombie. It's just something else took over you and you just keep eating and eating. And then afterwards, you're like, what have I done? And you might be kind of aware of what you're doing, but you just can't stop for some reason. So it's a very slippery slope and it's something that it's really hard to break out of once you do get into that habit. And it's kind of like an addiction, to be honest. I've never been diagnosed with binge eating disorder, but I just kind of wanted to talk about my journey with it and how that has kind of gone in with my bodybuilding career. So I've always struggled with binge eating for as long as I can remember. Even when I was a kid, it's something I would lean on during emotional periods of my life. So something that could just like numb certain emotions. You kind of just clock out and it's just numb and you can kind of forget about everything that's going on in your life. And I just feel like I've always done that. I would sneak food and hide it. I feel like that's definitely a sign that you're kind of struggling with food if you want to hide it and you feel kind of shameful around it. And that's something that I've always done growing up. And then it kind of got it under control in college. It was, I still had issues with it. It just wasn't as bad. I found, fitness and lifting at that age. And I really found my purpose when I started getting into the gym. And it was something I still struggled with, but I wasn't super aware of what I was doing at the time. And then I found bodybuilding. And a lot of people like to blame bodybuilding on their binge eating and things like that. But bodybuilding actually really helped me with binge eating. It allowed me to stay structured, stay on a plan, just know what I'm going to do every day and what I'm going to eat. And it helped a lot with my digestion because it was the first time that I actually was eating like well-rounded meals at certain times of the day and stuff like that. And I feel like that aspect really did help me. I needed that structure and it gave me purpose. Again, it gave me a lot of purpose and I felt really good about myself. So being in that structured plan, I love it. I love being super disciplined and things like that. I think, and I just have notes over here that I want to look at. Going into prep for me is like turning on a light switch. So it's like once I'm in prep, it's like all or nothing. I'm very regimented, very structured, and it's just tunnel vision. And I don't have room for error. I just, I'm on it. But as soon as that prep is over, it's like my purpose. Some people call it post-show blues, which I definitely have dealt with before. But it almost was like, okay, I did the show and I felt so good. I'm on a high. And then all of a sudden it's like, now what? Obviously, I know I need to grow and I need to like stay in the gym, which I continued to do. But it was like, also your body is starving, so you have to slowly feed it again. But I just would go from one extreme to the other. It's like the pendulum swings this way and then it's going to swing so extreme the next if you don't have that balance in the off season. So balance does not mean eating and overindulging in all of these foods as soon as your show is over. It's important to have balance that's somewhere in the middle. So a lot of people like will be like, oh, you need to have balance, like go out and you drink and you eat all these foods and this and that, and then in prep it's like, okay, game on. That's not balance. Balance is being able to do these things in moderation and having control and discipline, but still being on your game with everything else. So you just have to figure out what your goals are and how you want to reach them, and that will kind of help you find that balance, which then will help you. The pendulum isn't swinging to one extreme so much when you are in prep, and then it's going to swing back really far the next way as soon as you finish prep. So just being able to have that happy medium when you're not in prep is super helpful. So what happened to me after this last competition season is my dog's barking. So what happened to me this past competition season, I competed 2 times this year. It was my second and third show ever. I had a hard prep. I had to lose 30 pounds. That's a lot of body fat to lose in a short amount of time. Preferably you'd want to lose like 10, 15 pounds, preferably, 10 pounds or less, because that's a rough prep. You're doing a lot of cardio, you're dieting super hard. And I love it. I love like the suffering of prep. It feels really good to push yourself when you think you're at your breaking point. You just keep going and it feels amazing. But it really doesn't have to be that hard. You don't have to push yourself to that extreme. So I really enjoyed my prep. I, absolutely killed it. I think I looked great at those shows. And then as soon as the show ended, I had this like whole plan. I was going to be perfect. And that's another thing that I think that kind of encourages this like binge eating cycle is perfection. So I eat off plan after the show. You got to eat with your friends, totally fine. But then that starts spiraling into the week. And then I would just be eating bowls and bowls of oatmeal and like all this almond butter and stuff that's not even good. It's like I'm not even eating like burgers and fries or anything, anything like that. It was just food I had in my house that I would normally be eating. I was just eating disgusting amounts of it. My lights keep flickering. But like I was saying, I would just eat everything in the house until I was sick, and I would keep eating after that until actually being sick. And with that comes with a lot of shame. It's super hard to talk about it when you're going through it because you feel like, wow, I was so perfect and I was, shredded with abs and everything like that. Obviously that physique isn't like maintainable throughout the year. As a woman especially, you have to gain that body fat back so you can have, a healthy cycle and things like that. But I feel like I was just chasing perfection. I would spiral out of control if I wasn't perfect that day. And with the shame, it felt like I had to hide, and that I didn't deserve to do things that didn't make me feel good. So that would just lead, I would do the binging, and then the next day I wouldn't want to get out of bed. It was super hard to shower, go to the gym because I didn't want anyone to see me. And, of course, all of that comes with weight gain, and you need to gain body fat back, but you should not be gaining 30, 40 pounds over stage weight in a short amount of time. With that being said, I wasn't holding myself accountable either. I let this continue to spiral, and I felt very bad about myself. And I didn't even want to look at myself. I was like, I'm afraid to check in. I was telling my coach, I was like, I don't want to look at myself right now. I just want to focus on like lifting and stuff like that, which I was still lifting and all that. But I just wasn't holding myself accountable in terms of diet because I knew I didn't have it under control, and I was afraid to ask for help and tell anyone really what was going on. So I just have notes here. That's what I'm reading because I don't have Kennedy to bounce off of today. So I had to write notes down. But basically, I just want to talk about some things that have helped me, and I don't have the answers because I still struggle with this. I've been doing a lot better mentally lately, and I feel like I have a purpose now, which I'll talk about. But I think one thing that's super important is don't buy into the narrative where people tell you if you want something, do it. If you want something, just have it. It's not that big of a deal, just have it. When you're going through a binge eating cycle, if you live by that narrative, you don't have that self-control yet where you can be trusted with like, oh, I want an Oreo, I'm just going to eat one Oreo. I wouldn't be capable of having just one Oreo when I'm trying to get out of that cycle. For me, it was specifically almond butter and oatmeal, which is just crazy because I eat that every day now, but I just can't keep sugar foods in the house. So just don't keep that in the house. Don't buy it. Just eat your regular meals. Make them taste good. Add some like seasoning, sauces. There's so many sugar-free sauces now that make your food taste good. Have a plan. So get back on structure. Reach out to your coach. Your coaches aren't going to judge you. You can explain to them what's going on. It's super hard. And that first step to accountability is the hardest. But that self-discipline is self-love. So treating yourself so horribly and like going down these dark paths is not self-love. You want to get back to that place where you trust yourself again and feel good about yourself again, and you're disciplined and you have a purpose every day, which is really important to have to get out of the spiral of binge eating. And that goes to say just delayed gratification is so much more fulfilling than that quick 2-minute food you're going to be eating or shoveling down your mouth like I would do, or like 5 minutes or however long it would go on for, because sometimes those binges can go on for quite some time in an evening. But just remember that delayed gratification is so much more fulfilling. Like remember that long prep that you just did, and like you just got on stage and that took you how long, and it felt so fulfilling because you got through those hard moments. It's the same thing with the binge eating. When you have that feeling come over you, it's important to remove yourself and just get through the emotion. Just sit with the emotion and allow it to pass, and you're going to feel so much more strong within yourself. And just start to build up that trust with yourself again, and remember that you can do anything you set your mind to. If you had I wrote this down. If you had a friend that kept telling you that they do something and they keep going back on their word, would you trust them? And it's the same thing for yourself. You want to build that accountability back up with yourself and that trust within yourself, so you know that you can actually do what you set your mind to. Deep down, you know you can, but sometimes if it spirals so far, it's kind of hard to trust yourself again. So it'll take time. For me, it usually takes like 2 weeks to start feeling like, okay, I got this. But those first 2 weeks might be hard. You just have to take it day by day. The other thing is to figure out the feeling you get before a binge and then replacing that binging behavior with another activity. So for me, if I'm in the house and I have this like really, really big urge or like feeling that I need to binge eat, and it's a very overwhelming sensation, it's really hard to get through that initial emotion, but it does pass. So either sit with it, which for me that didn't quite work for me in the beginning. I had to physically leave my house. So go on a walk. If you have a dog, take your dog on a walk. Just go sit outside, touch grass. That usually helps. And then the feeling will subside. And then I don't know if everyone will resonate with this, but I have found a lot of strength through God. A verse a friend shared with me recently helped me. I actually had a strong urge Sunday evening to binge eat, and it was the verse is, God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. I read this verse out loud, and I said a prayer, and God gave me the strength to get through it. So I recommend praying as well in those moments, and that feeling will immediately be lifted off of you. It's also not about the goal. It's about the journey to the goal. So it's great to have a goal in mind because that gives you day-to-day purpose. And that's what is the most fulfilling part. You just are so focused on the end goal every day. You're never going to be happy, and you're going to be miserable actually. And you're not going to enjoy the whole process. And the whole process is the most important part. And that's what makes you who you are every day. And The results will come. Just enjoy the present and the now. Goals moving forward for me. Currently, I'm doing a mini cut and I feel great. I've been sticking to my plan. I'm doing my cardio. I feel purpose again and it feels so good. And my goal was actually to lose a little bit of weight because I gained a lot of weight, and it's important to realize that and know that like I have this under control. I can actually, lose that weight, show myself self-love by doing that for myself. You shouldn't be losing weight because you hate your body or like you hate yourself and stuff like that. It's because you love yourself. That's why. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm doing like 3 more weeks of this cut, gonna do a 2-week diet break, and then 6 more weeks of cutting. And then we're gonna go into a little maintenance phase. And then January, I might compete again. We'll see. No, I definitely have show plans next year. So I'm really pumped for that. Glad I found the love back into this sport. And I usually struggle a lot post show, but I'm happy to be back on it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's kind of my journey with binge eating. And I don't have all the answers, but if you want to DM me and let me know what kind of helps you or like your journey, I would love to talk to people about it, just because I think this is something that, more people should talk about. It's not normal. You shouldn't be binge eating. This is not normal. Bodybuilding. I don't really recommend getting into bodybuilding if you struggle with binge eating, because it's just going to magnify it even more when you're done with your show. So feel free, and next one, hopefully I'll have Kennedy back here. So all right, well, follow, like, subscribe, comment, all the things, and I'll see you guys in the next one.